This pisses me off. I see these headlines all the time. The pandemic didn't do that. The way we handled the pandemic did that.
Who gives a shit that COVID's over? Is the short answer. Why are we still doing it for the public sector? I don't know.
How is the administration trying to put them out of business?
Ooh, we've got an interesting one today. There's a letter that went home to parents of preschool students that we'll get off right off the bat. It's really interesting. Bill Maher says, the whole COVID thing is really bad how we handled it. Project Veritas went undercover and talked to an official in the Mayor Eric Adams administration in New York City. AOC danced to people criticizing her. KJP did KJP things. And more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in. Daily Caller Live starts. Hold on, give it a second. Hold on, wait. The music is still playing. We've lost. Here we go. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is October 20th, the year of our Lord 2022. It's always interesting when we forget to put some of the things in the morning, and I gotta do it on the fly, stall, and I'm not very good at stalling while also trying to do things. It's kind of difficult talking. A lot of great stuff today. Finally getting to the Bill Maher stuff from last Friday that I think we should, be talking about more often than we are. AOC doing AOC things, and Project Veritas out with another killer video. We'll get to that second. But first off, I want to get to this. A letter went out to parents of a preschool in a ritzy DC preschool. I think it's called River School. I'm not entirely sure what the preschool is called. This was kind of interesting because somebody tweeted this out. A parent tweeted this out. It got a bunch of traction. A couple articles got written about it in the Examiner, in all over the more conservative media outlets. Obviously, I don't think like the WAPO or the the Wall Street Journal took this on at all. But then the tweet got deleted. But I was able to find the picture of this screenshot taken by a parent for an email sent about their kids. Now, I want to read this email because I think I'm not sure what I would do if I were a parent here. Let me just read this and let me know what you think in the comment section or wherever. Also, if you haven't already, would appreciate you clicking the little like button. I'm seeing there's a couple thousand of you watching this across all of the platforms. Would appreciate you clicking the little like button down here and the little share button over in this corner over here. Really appreciate it. Helps us out. Keeps us rolling every single day. There's also I don't know what stars are, but I've seen there was like 10 of you that gave stars. I don't know what that is. If you're on Facebook and you have the ability to give stars, great. I don't know how that works yet. I'll look into it. Anyways, I want to get to this. Here's an email sent from a preschool to their parents. Now, I'm curious in the comment section, let me know how you would handle this if you were a parent receiving this email from your child's preschool. Hello, Manatee families. We wanted to take an opportunity to share some exciting news with you. Though you may have already known Mr. Powell's belly growing, Tristan, who I can imagine is Mr. Powell's first name, is expecting a kiddo in mid-January. Of course, you may have some questions about what that looks like for the Manatee class, so we wanted to share some FAQs with you. Parent leave. Tristan is hoping to teach through December, possibly through December on a January baby arrival. He's taking off time with new parents, yada, 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 yada. Tristan's journey. Tristan will be a solo parent by choice. A pregnancy has been a hopeful plan for the last decade, and Tristan is thrilled that it is finally happening. Tristan will go by Abba, which is Hebrew for dad, and uses he, him pronouns. So I'm curious in the comment section, what do you think you would get in your shoot? There's more to this article. Let me find that right now. This got cut off. and I want to bring a couple. Okay, here we go. There's more to this email that isn't being shown on the screen because I'm bad at doing my job. It didn't prepare very much, and that was the stuff that I really wanted to get to. And cool, now my phone has it's freezing. So while we wait for that to load, I'm just curious. What would you do if you were a parent in this school, notwithstanding some of the other stuff that is in this email? Oh, here we go. A long section was also included. This is from the Washington Examiner about talking to your kids about how to approach this. According to the school, this is in the email, for kids who may have an association with pregnancy or a certain gender, in parentheses, only girls/moms can have babies, Tristan uses the language of, some boys have bodies that can have babies, and I have that kind of body that can have a baby. Isn't that cool? The school also says, you're welcome to mirror this language at home, and offers additional resources for facilitating discussions on transgender people, gender identity, and pregnancy with parents in preschools. Okay, so there's that. Let me see. There's a bunch of people. Ryan. Is this Ryan from high school? I knew a guy named Ryan Teasel in high school, and he hit me up a couple days ago. Like, homeschool. Yeah, that's a good way to go. Robin says, there are other schools. Yeah, I would imagine that that's what I would do if I were a parent. Also, Pamela says, no, not cool. Let's see. And this is what I think everybody should be at. I am sorry, I'm not going to make an attempt to mispronounce your name. Miss Glavin says, let the children be children. Yeah, so this is what I thought was fascinating in the response to this sort of stuff. So this post got posted on Twitter, and a bunch of people shared it. Ted Cruz, U.S. Senator, said, this is not satire, this is real, then shared the photo. Which has then since been deleted. So again, I'm not sure why it got deleted. I'm pretty sure of all of the looking into this I've done, this looks real and looks legit. I don't think it's fake. I think the parent or somebody, whoever tweeted out, was like, oh, shoot, I didn't think this would be this big. But it did. But I thought the response to Ted Cruz tweeting about this and saying this is real was fascinating. This is a response from some blue checkmark Twitter user that said this in response to Ted Cruz sharing it. And of course, there are now U.S. senators weighing in on the pregnancy of some random teacher just because that teacher is trans. This is effing insane. I'm begging people to stand up for trans people. Please. What I find fascinating about this is the priority of different people in this sort of conversation. The priority seems to be for the one person who admittedly is making a not normal, an out of, I don't know, the norm of society decision. I'm not going to call them abnormal. I honestly don't care what people do with their lives. If you're an adult, do whatever you want to do. Do whatever you think is going to make you happy. I would urge you against it, considering that I would imagine in the overwhelming majority of cases, it does not actually make you happy. But at the same time, I don't actually care what you do as an adult. Having said that, it's interesting that people on the left side of the aisle, and especially the Twitter mob, look at this as we need to stand up and protect this one person, as opposed to, hey, how is this going to impact the, 20 to 30 kids? And not like high school kids who can be reasoned with at some level, but preschool kids. The only thing we're going to prioritize here, according to a bunch of the lefty people on Twitter, is the trans teacher. Again, I don't care how you live your life, as long as you're not hurting other people. I couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. I always get that confused. Couldn't care less, could care less. No, couldn't care less. I couldn't care less what you do with your own life. Having said that, this impacts a lot of other people in this sort of situation, and therefore, I don't know, as a society or as parents, you probably need to figure out what to do. Now, it's interesting too, the parents are kind of put into two different, they have two options, right? You either pull your kid from the school or I don't know, hope that they don't remember. Because the bottom line here too is at a preschool level, they're not going to be able to understand anything, and they can get a pretty distorted depiction of how the world works. And if you're brought up in an environment that tells you things that just aren't true, that can be pretty damaging. So I don't know. I don't know what you would do as a parent here. There's some comments here that I feel like I would, get to. Michael says not cool. Gabriel says not cool. It is Ryan from high school. How you doing, Ryan? Good to see you. Arthur, Arthur says not going to public school. I believe that's what PC stands for. This is actually a private school in Washington, D.C., so there's that. Let me see. Any other ones? Lots of biology comments, so there's that. But anyways, interesting kind of a problem that a lot of parents are having to deal with. And I was going to say I don't know what I would do if I were a parent. No, I would yank my kid from that school. Just because I don't know. I don't want the kid confused that much. At an appropriate age, I feel like, you can have an open discussion with your kid. Your kid doesn't stay a dumb child forever. But I get a lot of heat for this, calling like super little kids dumb. And dumb is not like a derogatory term in this sense. It's just like you're not very smart at that age. And so I don't know. I probably would yank my kid. And by probably, I mean I probably wouldn't have them go to that school to begin with, mostly because it's with DC prices at a public, ritzy private school there. I wouldn't be able to afford it. Anyways, so there's that. I thought that was interesting. Maybe we'll get to some more of the comments a little bit later, but I think it seems to be a consensus of, if you get that email as a parent for your kid in that school, you should probably yank the kid from that school. I wanted to get to this. This is actually interesting, and I feel like, I don't know. Where people watch is interesting on this show. We're streaming on Getter now, Twitter. We're also on Facebook. I think primarily the biggest audience we have for the show is on Facebook, and also YouTube is growing rapidly. I think it's from that one like stand-up bit that like, not to bore you to death with like the analytics of how we do this job, but there was like some stand-up bit that I posted that's like 6.5 million views at this point and got like a bunch of subscribers on YouTube. So now there's a bunch of people on YouTube, but at the same time, I feel like we might get taken down from YouTube because we play Project Veritas stuff. I don't know what the rules are there because I'm not super delved into how YouTube works, but I'm going to play this Project Veritas stuff because this is a real person who really works for the Eric Adams administration in New York City talking to a real camera, and all of this is real. You may not like it, and I feel like the big tech platforms may not like it, but that's what it is. So anyways, Project Veritas is at it again. If you're not familiar with Project Veritas, I don't know how you want it onto this show. I feel like we talk about them a significant amount, but they go undercover and talk to people in higher up positions. I don't know, CNN is probably the most notable one. Van Jones saying that the Russiagate is a big nothing burger, like 2 years before it ended. But James O'Keefe and our friends over at Project Veritas did it again. And this is an official on here when the video comes up. Talking about the vaccine mandate policy in New York City. If you don't remember, the government of New York said that everybody has to be vaccinated or else you can't have a job, and that included the private sector. They I think did 2 weeks of trying to enforce that on the private sector, and the private sector is like, we're not going to follow any of these rules. And they're like, okay, you're fine. But they did end up keeping the mandate for government workers, for public workers. And that is what this guy is talking about. It is fascinating. Check this out, and we will discuss on the other side. Also, if you haven't already, click the little like button that's down here, and the little share button. Really appreciate it. Or let us know in the comment section what you think about the changing rules. Gabriel says the rules change like the wind. Yes, they do. Check it out. Watch this.
The cops are mad at us though because we roll back the private sector mandate or rolling back the public sector mandate. Like public service employees still have to be vaccinated, but we were requiring all private employers to mandate vaccines as well, and we've stopped doing that. So.
Why?
No. Who gives a shit? Like COVID's over. Just the short answer. Why are we still doing it for the public sector? I don't know. We'll probably probably stop that in a few months. 1,400 people voluntarily quit their jobs rather than get vaccinated. They don't deserve their jobs back. They chose not to do a very, very harmless thing that like protects the rest of society. I don't give a. They're like, this is unfair. F***ing deal with it. We're allowed to set the terms of employment. Period.
What does the mayor say?
He said they quit. Why should they get their jobs back? They quit. I have no sympathy for them. Like, they made a choice. That was the rule. You had a very cushy government job. You could always go not work for the government. Although for a while you could. You just had to move out of New York, which was great. Again, no one was required to get vaccinated. You just had to get vaccinated if you had a job. So, could have moved to Florida.
So there's that. I don't know. It's an interesting seeing kind of the inside of how people think of things. I can go off the rails and go, how crazy is that? But I probably keep my cool and go, yeah, like that guy's. I don't think I need to exaggerate the explanation of what's going on to further exemplify how crazy that dude and what he's saying is. I think we can all pretty much understand, whoa, those types of people are in any sort of power capacity. Again, what I thought was interesting is I also think, too, I don't know what these people know. Like, I don't know what he knows in terms of vaccination stuff. Look, and this is not medical advice. I'm not giving you medical advice at all. But I think it's pretty clear now, and it should have been for the last year, that getting the shot doesn't stop people spreading it. Yet this guy, like very recently, said, well, if you don't want to do a harmless thing, okay, we're not going to argue about the harmless thing. I know the VAERS process, all this sort of stuff. There's other people out there that are talking about the harmfulness of the vaccine. I'm not going to go there. I don't generally go there. Get it if you want. I don't actually care. Do what you think is best for you. But a harmless thing that protects the rest of society, he says, or something along those lines. That's just blatantly not true. That's like saying, hey, wear a red hat so no babies suffer from asthma. What? Like that doesn't make any sense. All right, throw on your green socks so no elderly people suffer from dementia. None of this, that's about the same as saying get vaccinated so you could help the rest of society. I don't understand. And we've all known that for several months now. That's been documented, quote unquote, scientific information. We were complaining about it 2 years ago when it started, and we are now screaming it from the rooftops now that we know it's true. So I don't know. I don't know what this guy actually thinks or what he believes. It is kind of interesting to see that people still, I guess, think that, I don't know, this is still a thing. I'm going to play this last clip. It's kind of interesting, too. He's talking about cops now, which, dude, like this is rough. Watch this. I don't know that you can say a lot of the things that this guy says. Check it out.
Being a cop is like the cushiest gig in the city. Like, you might get shot, but otherwise it's very good.
He's like, the city is out of control. It is not safe. And I'm like, you're right. I just always joke that I'm like, New York's sort of like Hogwarts. Like, it's a lot of fun, great opportunities, and people die.
So that guy's name is Chris Baugh. He's an advanced employee official for the Eric Adams administration in New York. The second part of that I thought was actually a hilarious insight. It's kind of like New York City is kind of like Hogwarts, wonderful place of opportunities, and people die. Like, okay, I mean, I would rather people not die, and maybe we could set up a system and a structure and laws that prevent people from dying as best you can. But also, it's kind of a funny analogy. But the idea of, being a New York cop is a cush job. You might get shot. Okay. Going to Fallujah, taking a nice vacation. You might have to fight a war and kill people and be shot at, and maybe you get killed, but you get a free vacation from the government. Dude, what in the... Okay. I don't know. I can go off on the stupidity of this guy, but I feel like I don't have to, because I think the stupidity speaks for itself. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of input on the COVID stuff here. Again, I generally stay away from the adverse effects, the VAERS system, which there's so many other great. The reason I stay away from that is because I'm not as good at explaining that sort of stuff. If you want that sort of stuff, go to Charlie Kirk. The dude is on fire with all of that sort of stuff, and he is much better at explaining it than I am. So that's why I generally stay away from that sort of stuff. But there are better people out there explaining it than me. Speaking of COVID, let's go to this really quick. And I realize all this stuff takes way longer because I'm trying to read comments and go through stuff. So I've got like 3 more things that I got to get to in like 8 minutes. So check this out. This is from Bill Maher. I thought originally that this was last week, but I can't actually verify that. He tweeted it. The Bill Maher show tweeted this yesterday. It could be an older clip, but it's still very relevant, especially with what we just watched with Project Veritas. I think it all kind of ties together. Also, if you haven't already, would love if you click the little like button, the little share button. Would really appreciate you doing so. Check this out from Mr. Bill Maher on his show recently.
Now we're getting some information after a while. We have time to find out just how bad the collateral damage has been. Here's just a few cases. The pandemic erased 2 decades of progress in math and reading. See, right away, I got to say, this pisses me off. I see these headlines all the time. The pandemic didn't do that. The way we handled the pandemic did that. The pandemic certainly was a thing. But let's not just say the pandemic, because it was not written in stone that we had to handle it the way we did. ACT scores are the lowest in 30 years. Anxiety and depression way up. The body mass index doubled for kids 2 to 19. Drug overdose deaths. Murders way up. Inflation at a 40-year high. Domestic violence increased. And my favorite, car crashes. They couldn't figure this out. Like way, way, way up. And finally, I love this. This is the expert said. You know what it is? People just went fucking mental.
That's good stuff. Good stuff from Bill Maher. Again, he's kind of in the same camp that I am. Like, yeah, COVID was a real thing. It was a disease that a lot of people got and was pretty bad. But at the same time, the government response was way, way, way worse in terms of impact to the American people. And also, who couldn't have seen that coming? I have one political belief. That is, the government is bad at doing things, and when you're bad at doing things, you should do less things. This clip goes on with this other guy, and I just want to just roll through this because I feel like AOC dancing is fun to watch. Check this out.
What I would add to that is I think one of the great injustices was the rush to judgment as soon as the shit hit the fan to clear out every college campus and grad school. It never made sense to me that we sent them back through airplanes and car rides with relatives instead of keeping them right where they were. And Bill, I have 3 for whom I'm still paying tuition bills. They were so robbed of a year and a half of all the exchange, the mingling that you talked about last week.
Yeah.
We're never going to make that time up is my point.
Yeah. Guy continues. I don't know who that guy is. I think he was on CNN or something and was talking about, the whole college shutdown was even crazier, especially when we knew college kids for the most part were fine. We still sent them home and didn't do right by them. I also think that's crazy too, that college kids had to pay full tuition for 2 years of not going to college. I think that's weird. I don't know. In hindsight, you could say, I would have taken a year off, but yeah, you don't know. All right, moving on. We're moving to this. Boom Boom says, people are waking up. Yeah, including some of our lefty friends like Bill Maher, who is not a conservative by any stretch of the imagination. Oh, wow, we had a typo here. AOC danced to chants. I'm just going to play this video. You can watch it. People are chanting and booing AOC at a rally, and she decides to dance to the rhythm of their chants. Let us know what you think in the comment section about this one. I actually think this is going to be a bigger deal, I think, in the long run. Just watch. Check this out. Okay, so if you're just listening to that, describing it for you, that's AOC dancing at some event that she was at. People were chanting, and they were chanting to a beat, and AOC was dancing to that beat. Here's the thing: there's a lot of people that are like, "Oh, how disrespectful!" Yeah, and I get that. I totally understand that side of the coin there. But at the same time, looking at it politically in the future, right? AOC has higher political aspirations. Chuck Schumer is already concerned that she's going to run against him for that New York Senate seat. I don't know if he's up next cycle. I'm not sure. But he is scared to death that she's going to challenge him. And she will. She'll eventually grab either Gillibrand's Senate seat in New York or Schumer's Senate seat in New York, or at least try to run for it. But I feel like this clip is going to be out there for a long time, and it is not a good look for somebody running for higher office. Again, I don't actually care at all how AOC responds to criticism. I would just say from a marketing communication standpoint, you just sit there. If somebody's protesting you and somebody's mad, you just, I don't know, stand there and let it happen, and eventually it'll be over and you can get on with what you're doing. And I think that passes off the craziness mentality to the person that's doing all of the yelling. So there is that. Yeah, bunch of comments there saying, yes, well, wow. Self-absorbed airhead socialist, says Shannon. Yeah, if you look at it that way, that's totally fine. I'm just looking at it as politics. I see that there's a bunch more people watching on YouTube than has been before, or at least a bunch more people commenting that have been on YouTube before. If you're new to this, I don't know. I look at politics as a sport. I obviously have my own policy ideology, way of looking at things. I think the government is bad doing things. They should do less things. But at the same time, I look at politics as a sport. And from the sport of politics, this is, I think, a bad play by AOC. We'll see. We'll see how it affects her in the years to come. Lastly, I want to get to this. This is just a funny clip from the White House press briefing room yesterday or 2 days ago. KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, who's not good at her job. Again, whether or not I disagree with her, same thing with Jen Psaki. Jen Psaki was very good at the job. KJP is not good at the job. Just the way that she walks into things and just rhetorically can't handle some of the questions that come, which it seems like she's unprepared for. There's so many things going on here why I think she's not qualified to do the gig. But here we go. Check this out. This is Ms. KJP and a question from Peter Doocy. And it's just funny. It's just funny. Check it out.
You're asking oil companies to further lower gas prices. What makes you think that they are going to listen to an administration that is ultimately trying to put them out of business?
How is the administration trying to put them out of business?
Well, they produce fossil fuels, and this president says he wants to end fossil fuel.
Again, just kind of a gotcha question from Peter Doocy, but if I would just handle, like, you don't ask that question back, man. I don't know. I would love that job. I would love to be the White House press secretary. That's about as high as I would go. I'm not trying to run for anything, but I think being snarky and sarcastic in the White House press briefing room on behalf of the President of the United States would be a hilarious gig. Maybe someday I'll wiggle my way into a DeSantis administration and I don't know, make jokes from the White House press briefing room podium and snap back at silly questions from reporters. Anyways, that's going to do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in, and dealing with the never-ending stream of technical difficulties that we apparently have on this show. Appreciate you doing so. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Getter, Truth Social, all of them. You can find me. Just type JOBOB. Also tonight on the Facebook, this Facebook page, also on YouTube. I guess we'll be on YouTube too. You know what? Heck, we'll be on Twitter and Getter also. Yeah, sure. Well, all of the places that we stream generally. My wife and I are going to do a podcast on the California props because what we've found is that our discussions, in the kitchen, in the living room, around the house, I think reflect a lot of the discussions that a lot of couples around the country have. We're California, we live in California, and so I think a lot of the discussions around the props either don't ever happen or look a lot like ours. So we're going to provide a platform of, hey, we're just going to talk about it. And I'm not doing really any research on any of them beforehand. We'll just do it in real time and sit in front of the computer and talk until we're bored of talking about the California props. And if you live in California, maybe this will be an insightful thing, but that'll be at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. But if you're on the East Coast, I don't know why you would watch that. But yeah, that'll be happening tonight. Let's see, any other updates? I'm in South Dakota. Shoot, is it South Dakota? It is South Dakota. Brookings, South Dakota, Wednesday. We're in Phoenix, but I don't know if we're doing anything public in Phoenix on Tuesday. So if you're in South Dakota by any chance watching this from the upper Midwest, would love to see you in Brookings, South Dakota on Wednesday. Outside of that, we've got a couple other tour dates, but they're far down the road, so we won't bother you with those. That's going to do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. God bless America.